spell that out for people.
Yeah. When I say that, I really mean, if you think about an Olympic athlete, I know people say, well, yeah, that makes sense, but to do it is a different deal. And that are things like, okay, who do you hang out with? Like, who are the 5 or 6 people you hang out with and spend a lot of time with? And are they challenging you? Because every Olympic athlete does that. They have a coach. They have several coaches. Expectations, an Olympic athlete doesn't start and say, you know what, I got to go. I'm just going to be in the Olympics and I'm going to try for 90 days. It's just absurd. So you need time. Things like persistence and grit. Great book. I don't know if you've read that, the book Grit, but the whole persistence and grind it out thing, all these things are going to differentiate the Olympic level person from the high school person. And of course, who benefits more financially? The Olympic level or the high school person? That's a no-brainer. So that's what I mean when I say Olympic level versus high school level. Just all those type of things, to get you that next kind of edge.
What do you think that means in terms for real estate investors needing to build grit? Where do you see investors that don't have grit fall short, and where do you see people that have strong grit succeed?
Yeah, I can talk directly on that one from our own kind of associate database. They come in, they say, look, I'm more serious. I want to join your associate level. I want you guys to do deals with us. And now we think we've safeguarded it by our pre-qualifying, but I can tell you in the past, we've had people come in and literally try it for 90 days. Well, what business, you have your own business. What business would you hypothetically sit down, let's say, with a board of directors or a bunch of investors and say, hey guys, I got this great idea. You sell them on it. Everybody's bought in and you're going to raise some money. And then you say, and you know what? Thanks. I'm going to give it a shot for like 90 days. I mean, it's just crazy. So we've seen people get to that point and literally disappear. So what was going on with their expectations or their persistence or their grit to just leave the table like that? That's nuts. On the other side of the coin, you look at some of the people that have been grinding it out with us. We have Claudia in Arizona, who is at her, I think, 2-year point now. And it wasn't easy when she started. And we had a recent mastermind. And I said, what changed, Claudia? I mean, you've known the skills and stuff. What changed? She said, A, I stuck with it. And B, the mindset, because it takes time for that to develop. If you're at age, pick an age, 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. It took you that many years to get here. You're looking to make a major change. It's going to take some time. So I've seen them quit early and I've seen them grind it out and just, she's probably approaching $1 million now. There's just no comparison if you do that. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. And tell me about how, and reading like this book, that the new book that you have coming up, or your old books, that it's helping people develop that kind of grit or change their mindset.
Well, this book in particular, the first book, the bestseller, I have my story in this, so people can say, wow, I mean, that was pretty dramatic what I went through. And my son's story's in that, and when he went through his head injury. So those are kind of both persistence, grind it out, do whatever it takes. But the new book is neat because it's not just about us. Every single person in there, you said like the mentors and, people that have been successful, every person in there, when I asked, has everything been so rosy or have you had some trouble? They download like what they went through. So you pick up 20 or whatever stories of people who went through that. You tend to look at your own problems as not that big a deal anymore. You tend to, at least I do. I tend to say, okay, I can do that then because they did it. And there's a lot of variation of stories in there. And it just, in my opinion, helps anyone to get exposed to that stuff to then grind it out themselves.
What do you think is important about listening to other people's stories in terms of calibrating the difficulty that you're experiencing currently that helps you move forward on your own path?
I just know, I remember back in the 90s when I got beat up pretty good in the building business. And at that time I was young and I didn't have a mentor specifically. I remember that. And so I thought it was like, okay, we must have screwed up really bad. I didn't realize that a whole bunch of other people probably went through it. Right. So it just helps to say, okay,